Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. It's a Thursday edition, which means I always get caught by surprise that we're on camera. Here we are. Jeff Defo DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. Looks like he's being held in captivity. Are you in Iran, Iraq? You in
He hasn't mentioned your name yet to any of the interrogators.
No, I have not. I promise.
Your name never was mentioned. It's Clockwork Orange.
When I see these blank walls, it looks like are you with the Brittany Griner or in the undisclosed work camp, or what is it? Penal colony?
Penal colony. That sounds harsh.
That sounds a little gulag archipelago.
And I'm
going to be eating grass, man. That's Duddy Kravitz time. I mean, just horrible when you think about it. Woman, I mean, for what she did, I mean, to be incarcerated for even more than a day is just absolutely insane. It seems, but wow, that's a whole nother story. Whole nother story for another day, huh?
Well, I mean, again, we've talked about this before. If you're going to travel to other countries, obey the laws of the foreign countries, especially when your own country is in an escalating state of tensions with that country. But
I wouldn't even try to bring a pomegranate in there. I mean, never mind. Like,
I wouldn't bring a poppy seed bagel.
Exactly.
That poppy seed bagel is basically what they make opium from. So they could nail you on all kinds of things. Did you ever hear about that, or have you ever flunked a drug test for a job, or because you eat a poppy seed bagel and it registers as heroin on a drug test?
No, never had that happen. Although, we've heard horror stories about stuff like that. No, nobody, I can tell you this: nobody actually takes a drug test anymore with their own sample. If unless they're accompanied in there by some kind of officer, maybe in the legal system. But the Mustang had to take a drug test to apply for this job that she had, and she was all worried about it because she's been eating edibles, but they were really only checking for harder narcotics. She didn't know that at the time though, so she gets the flush kit and the whole thing, passes the drug test, and then she gets the job. And she's been working there. Everybody smokes marijuana in the place, even the managers. So, but everybody said the same thing that nobody actually took the test. They all,
had someone else's
brought in some hidden urine or whatever. I mean, who was the running back that was caught in the airport with that thing they used to sell for like $45, where you had a bag of urine you could strap to your waist, and you'd have like somebody else's urine that was clean, and you took the test. So I don't think anybody actually takes the test with their own samples anymore. That's my point.
Well, not that we're condoning that, but I do think that it's not other
it's
people.
Dishonest, Michael, but
I didn't think we were going to be starting the show talking about other people, OPU, other people's urine.
Other people's urine, yeah. That's nobody takes a test. Not one person actually did it legit.
What people do here is they go to the nutrition store and they have these specialty teas that flushes your system out. I've heard a lot about these teas. Mind you, I've never had to do this myself because I've never had to take a drug. Well, actually, I did.
You weren't smoking weed when you were at the paper?
Because they
would be inclined there to
I came to the Sun Sentinel in 1989, and apparently they did do drug testing. They did do drug testing, and somehow I passed.
Oh, yeah.
And, I used my own urine.
That's scarier than actually failing the drug test.
Well, back then
you were able to pass when your system was loaded up more than like John Belushi's was in Animal House. No, in radio, this is interesting. In radio, the drug test was your ability to identify certain drugs.
Exactly.
Like you had to be able to identify various strains of marijuana, and if you couldn't do it, then you weren't good enough. I mean, they figured you didn't have enough creative juice to make anything happen on the air.
So, I guess back then when I first got on board, they were also mainly concerned about the harder drugs like cocaine. Yeah. Everybody in the Miami at that point was, basically just snorting anything that moved or that didn't move or anything that was laying on a mirror or a table. So anyway, here we are on Drug Talk. No, this is Food Talk. And look, we got through that the storm, or like, hey, give the National Hurricane Center some credit, because they're forecasting, and their track was like dead on. I mean, for the last 3 days, the way they had it moving south and then north. And I'm not going to get all meteorological on you,
Yeah.
even though
You
I
got
know.
really detailed
Yeah, anyway,
the
yesterday, boy.
last time you were discussing this.
Yeah,
What
I
was
was,
it? Yesterday's show?
I don't
My
know if you
God.
no, it was 2 days ago,
Yeah.
because back then it looked like, we might actually get some more severe effects, down here in,
Did you see what happened
Broward.
though? Did you see the one thing that actually
I saw
happened
'em.
that was of devastation? Although I have to think that it was lucky that this is when it finally went down, because it had to be on the brink of collapse, and that was the Lauderdale by the Sea Pier, which is surrounded by
Anglin's fishing pier, right?
angling fishing pier, and
And
England's.
did you
they have
okay,
a restaurant right there at the head of the pier. But
not anymore, I
I
think,
would
or is
imagine
it
it was closed. Section, like it looked like maybe yards in, collapsed, and they were making a big deal out of it. But this had nothing to do with rough seas or any stuff
well,
like it. It
I think
had to
it
be on the
did.
threshold of collapse to begin with. There
Well,
was
let's
nothing
not.
going on here. I was walking around
No,
yesterday
that's
afternoon.
totally incorrect, Defo. Once again, you're jumping to assumptions. I don't know if you saw what happened down in Hollywood and the Barrier Islands. It was king tide season, and the confluence of rough seas from the storm and the full moon and the king tide and high tide. Basically, last night, the shoreline washed up over the Barrier Island. A lot of those streets flooded, and there was really heavy pounding waves along some of the piers and things like that. So, okay, Anglin's Pier
That
is
should not have not been enough to make this thing collapse. I mean,
Why would it come
please.
on? Like,
who made you God? What are you determining? Like,
I'm not God.
which
I'm just
which
telling you that
structures?
there was nothing of that kind of intensity and ferocity going on here. I live down the street from this pier. I was on my walk of life yesterday
Were you
afternoon when this thing eroded away and collapsed. There was
were you in
nothing
the
happening.
middle of the ocean? There was a riptide thing. That
It
this
was
I went out.
nothing
You know what? You're agitating me.
because you are a believer in false news. I mean, if
No,
you don't
that's
think
not
that
fake
thing was on the
news.
threshold of
Did you see
collapse before this, then you're crazy. It
God.
the
had. There's no
waves?
way this was of sound structure, and it
The
just collapsed from what
sea
was
was
happening yesterday.
angry, my
He
friend,
was
yesterday.
angry that
The
day.
It
Man.
wasn't
sea
that
was
mad, yeah, Mister
like an old
Personification.
man sending back soup in a deli. That's a great Seinfeld
That's a
line,
good
by the way.
analogy, but
Yeah.
That's from
I'll give you that.
That was George Costanza. No, okay. First of all, Anglin's Pier, unlike almost every other
It had to
pier
be
up and
built in
down
the
the coast,
1700s or something. What do you think?
it's actually a private pier. It's not owned or operated by the city. That's why it's called Anglin's Pier. There's a man named Anglin, or the family, or somebody
Well,
owns it and
obviously, he
operates it
needs
now.
to get some kind of a new, architecture license, because
For
that
a
had to be as
long,
unsound as any pier ever.
well, the fact that you're using, like 2x4s instead of like some, steel or something like
I
that
always
might
felt very
explain.
confident walking out there. I've been on that pier a zillion times. I mean, it's right there,
I bet
Lauderdale by the
after
Sea.
losing days, sometimes
Yeah,
I've
you're
you
been
ready
there
to
thought
many
go.
about.
times considering jumping, and I always found it overwhelmingly safe. So much so that you couldn't even consider putting cement shoes on and diving over the top rail.
So
But
you
I
mentioned.
can't imagine if that caused whatever was going on here yesterday caused that. My God, I'm surprised a zillion buildings didn't go down as well, because there was nothing happening here of any
There's
kind
not
of
a
intense
zillion
nature in
million.
terms of weather.
There's not a zillion million buildings in the middle of the raging sea. It's just a lot of piers up and down the coast. Okay, so this thing, and you mentioned the restaurant. I don't think that restaurant is in operation again, or is it? Because
It was,
it,
yeah, no, they're
They were a
thriving
sponsor of
actually.
ours,
Yeah,
weren't they?
yeah.
no,
The England
wait.
Pier Cafe or whatever it is.
Yeah, that
Can't
was there a
say.
long time, but I remember they closed, and I wrote a story about all the
They had a
longtime
problem
servers.
with their workers. There's a Greek guy that owns it, and his family owns all of the
Right.
real
Well,
estate around there, and so they're very, very wealthy. But no, a friend of mine works there as a bartender, and he says they are just killing it at that restaurant. That they're
wait.
doing
So now
great.
there's a bar there. It used to be just like a morning
It was a
breakfast,
bar and
lunch,
restaurant.
diner.
No, it had a nice little restaurant there, and it was reasonably good, and it's a little pricey, but a lot of people liked it.
Well,
Good
that
food,
family.
and they're still in action. They're doing well.
Oh,
So they were there.
oh,
Okay.
okay, because I thought the place had closed down, and that the family, the Greeks that owned it, that owned like the place called
They
like
might have
the
gotten
village, the
belly
village.
up, but
I think they've sold a lot of that. They
could
used
be.
to have that restaurant on the corner that was a Greek restaurant that then they sold, and it became Taco Craft right across the street from
That could be.
Even Keel Fish
Yeah.
Shack. And I thought they divested themselves. That
Whoever
family,
owned the place was doing well though, because
the
my friend
restaurant, yeah.
Bartender Bobby, man, and he's at the track all the time. You might have met him. He's a big fan of yours, and he said that he goes there and he's just making gobs of money as a bartender there on the couple of shifts that he has. So it's great.
Sarni appreciated my "Who Made You God" line, but the thing was,
Yeah,
there
you go
was
to extremes though, Mayo. You should be a Republican. Why don't you just register with the Republican Party? No,
maybe I am.
you're an
How do you
extremist.
know
I'm
my
telling you.
political
I'm just
leanings?
saying that for what
All
was
we know
happening here
is
yesterday in
Bobby
terms
said
of
he
weather
was
activity, there was nothing going on of a
That is
serious nature.
complete. You're
Zero.
living in a dream world fueled by
I
medical
was walking
marijuana.
right
he
by
lives
the
there.
beach.
He like lives by that
I
beach.
know, but I live here. I live in Dania, and I was walking up and
So
down.
once again, in the
2 days.
dark, like you are with Patricia's, and
All right, I'm going to send you
going to
photos of the
condemn the
raging
place as a
sea.
red
There
sauce
was
spaghetti place.
rivulets going down the Hollywood Broadwalk and going onto the side streets through the barrier island. It was like they were rowing. They had kayaks out there last
There
night.
was zero of a destructive nature happening here yesterday.
And it
Nothing.
was, again, it wasn't necessarily Nicole, but it was the confluence of heavy seas from Nicole and the king tides.
So you
Which,
think
look,
this was a perfectly sound structure just sitting there and out of nowhere, a couple of waves kicked up and a little
I'm
riptide
not
and
going
it
to say
collapsed?
that. I'm not going to say it was a perfectly sound structure because all the other piers up and down the coast,
The bridge
which
over
are,
the River Kwai was in better shape than this thing was. No, really.
how did we get here? I thought we were going to talk about your
Because
night.
you're making false
Now he's
statements.
Island.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And you're Mr. Credibility. I'm supposed to be the wise guy on the show.
Yeah,
Come on.
you are a wise guy. All right, that's I'm
No,
glad.
I know how to get under your skin, but I'm telling you, I am shocked when I saw this guy. Look, a friend of mine, Peter Dench, he's a big fan of all of our shows, was a guy doing the reporting. He was out there in the afternoon. This was before I did my walk of life. Behind him was a kid with a surfboard, which is one of my favorite things. And that
This was
guy's all happy.
yesterday, right?
This was yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
So, I went out. I did my walk. Last night we went out. There was nothing of significant nature in terms of the weather. It was like a rainy night in Georgia.
Right.
And then I got back and I see the news, and they're talking about how wind and rain bashed Broward County, and I know that it didn't. I mean, there wasn't even a coconut on the ground. And then I look and I see this section of the pier is missing. I'm thinking, well, where is that? Vero Beach, and it was here.
Right.
And there just was nothing going on that could have triggered that unless it was ready to collapse to begin with.
So
It could have
you're
been on a
right
sunny day. I believe it
that
could
for
have been on a
those
sunny
of
day.
us inland, those of us, let's say more than a half mile off the coast,
Yeah.
it was pretty much a non-event. This was just kind of like another rainy day with some squalls and some, little bit of thunderstorm activity or whatever. But for those people who live directly on the coastline,
That's me.
that is you, I guess.
Yeah.
But didn't you see there was water washing up along
There was
A1A in
nothing.
Fort
I'm
Lauderdale?
telling you, there was nothing happening. I went out. I was out
That's
for an
your
hour and a
little
half
neck of the
yesterday
woods.
from 3 to 4:30. This is 1 mile from
3
where
to
this pier
4:30. I'm
collapsed.
talking about at 11 and midnight last night is when the sea, again, high tide was like 10:30 along
This bridge
the
had
Hollywood
collapsed
coast.
already. I mean, this pier had
Okay.
collapsed already.
I don't want to argue about the bridge. I'm just saying that there
pier,
was
the pier.
not storm surge necessarily, but king tide surge. And for the last 5 years, because of global warming and rising seas, we have water coming up and rushing over and coming up through sewers and even in some interior streets here in Dania, Hollywood, that never saw water before when I first moved here. And that's
But your area is a mess in terms of drainage. It might be the worst.
yeah, no, and actually our area was perfectly fine yesterday.
See,
We got
there you go.
we
Nothing
got
was
some
happening.
heavy rains, but my buddy that lives on one of these King Tide streets, Scott, along his thing, that Gulfstream Way up in Dania,
He
that
drowned?
goes along.
What happened?
No, well, he showed me pictures. There was like 2 feet of water that came up from
All
the
right.
bottom, from the surface. That's a rising seas issue. Again, for those who don't believe in the rising seas or global warming, this is kind of
This pier should have
evidence
never
to
collapsed
the
under these
contrary.
conditions. Never.
Okay, fine.
I mean,
And-
look,
and
I've been here a long time. I've seen rough conditions. There was nothing of that nature happening here yet. Nothing. Zero in this
See-
area. And, the fact that I was shocked. I looked at this damage. I'm like, my God, how could that possibly have been, the responsibility or have been, triggered by this storm? It couldn't have been by itself. It's
Okay.
impossible.
All right, I'm gonna leave. I'm just gonna let you win this
Let that
argument
one go.
because
Let me win that one.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna let.
I'm
Can we
right
move
about
on
this.
to the Hard Rock? Because that's what I'm really intrigued
Oh,
about.
the
Because,
Rock.
yeah, but
For-
because yesterday you were talking about how you had these freebie tickets to go see Adam
well, it
Sandler.
probably turned out to be
Second of
about $400, 200 apiece.
oh,
By the
Jesus.
time we
See,
got done.
such thing as a free lunch or a free ticket,
Yeah.
especially at the Hard Rock. But and as much as you were hoping that the special guest was Chris Rock, it turned out it was Rob Schneider. Right?
Rob
Was
Schneider,
Schneider
man.
really
It started out with this
their
conservative
guest?
baloney, man.
Oh, are
And
you
the place went nuts, Mike. You would have loved it because it was frightening. Because there was a crescendo of approval in terms of noise when he started ripping this guy for maybe being a Democrat, and I shriveled up into a little ball, and I tried to hide myself, and then but he at least had a commanding presence on stage, Schneider.
Schneider
As a
did?
stand-up comic, and the theater is fantastic. I've been there a few times, but
Yeah, you know
first
what?
time I
It's
sat in a balcony, and it was like, wow, what a beautiful place to see a show. Fantastic.
You know what?
Uh,
It's modeled after Radio City Music Hall, both in
Beautiful
design
job
and
there. Wow.
acoustics. It's a
Yeah,
it's a really good venue.
no
What is
doubt.
it? Were you saying it's only 2,500? I thought it had like 5,500
I
seats.
looked
So.
at I looked it up today and it said 2,500. Maybe it's bigger. That'd be fine with me.
Seems like it holds more people than 2,500.
I
Mustang
think it
was
was
telling me
55.
3,000. Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
I thought it
yeah.
was around $5,000, but when I looked it up today, it said 2,500. So
All right.
that
I
might have
was
been a
just
mistake.
something.
This is the show of misinformation here and falsehoods. The bridge collapsed. I mean, the pier collapsed by itself, and there's nobody can fit into this arena. But I would think in excess of 5,000 because of this. Because I remember very specifically, they were so proud of the original Hard Rock Live, which held 5,000 people, and that was like a
I'm
giant expansion. There you
Yeah,
go.
So I don't know where Luby is doing
it's
his
7,000.
research.
It's 7,000. The new Hard Rock Live
7,000. There you
holds
go.
7,000 people. 7,000
Thank
people.
you, because no, and it's actually I got a more specific. It says 6,556, but I think they could squeeze in 7,000
Round that
7,000.
off
on a
to
good
7.
night
Yeah.
if
It
the
must have been
full seating.
2,500 when they were doing the work and they
Right.
Do you think? Do you believe that many people were interested in paying money to see Adam Sandler do stand-up comedy? 2 nights in a row now. This was his second night there, and it was full.
You don't mess with the Zohan, but of course they gave out a lot of tickets to their high rollers.
Had to be freebie city. Yeah.
That's how they.
Probably could give
Did
it
you
out.
pay? I mean,
No,
aside from
I
the-
would have never gotten
Obviously.
paid to see
so,
that.
so that answers your question, right?
Yeah. No, and everybody else that I met there, that I knew a few people that were waiting around, and ran into some old friends, which is always kind of cool. And the other thing that impresses me when I go to these shows there at the Hard Rock is where do all these people come from? There are like a zillion people, and they're all strutting their stuff. And you're thinking, where am I at the Bellagio? This is great.
Yep.
But they're
it's
all
like
from
that every
local areas
night.
here. And you don't see
Always
this
had a
kind
nice
of gathering anywhere else. But
And the
at Hard
minimum
Rock.
tables, like on some of these nights and weekends, are for blackjack is like never mind 25. I think some of the times it's like $50, and I'm like saying, recession? What recession? It's like incredible. There's all
And
this
kids are
money.
playing, 19, 20-year-old. I don't know if
Oh,
there's
yeah,
legal
they
age. Is there a legal age to gamble in the Hard Rock?
18.
18?
No, actually, this is one of the quirks of Florida law, and makes absolutely no sense. If you want to go blow your whole paycheck at a poker table or
Yeah.
at a pari-mutuel facility betting, let's say on a horse race at Gulfstream, 18. But if you're trying to put it in a slot machine or a blackjack table at the Hard Rock, 21.
Really?
Somebody answer that. Like, what's
didn't
the
know that.
rationale for that? But that's the way the law is written. It's
You're not as disciplined as a slot player at 18. So obviously you could, do damage to yourself. That is the reverse ATM machine over there at the Hard Rock. I don't know if you've had any luck in slot machines there. I never have.
I don't play.
I don't even play. I told myself, and I like to punch on every race, and I'll go downstairs and play the machines. But I told myself I'm bringing 2 20s, and that's it. If I lose more than $40, which I lost in 15 minutes, then that's it for the night. That's all they're getting from me. But it's Adam Sandler baloney that I was watching last night.
So
I don't recommend the Sandler show to anybody. If
So
you were gonna
what
spend
did
money
he
on
do? He was just kind of lame.
it was just lame. You know what?
His music. He doesn't
I
really
love
do
stand-up comedy,
stand-up.
but it was really, really. It didn't really go anywhere. It didn't have any
His
punch to
songs.
it. It didn't have any. I mean, I've seen shows where guys surprised me. Like I wasn't a huge Seinfeld fan, but I saw him at the Hard Rock Live before it became this giant venue a couple of years ago. And the guy was great for 90 minutes. He sustained like an excellent, pace.
He's a craftsman. He writes
he was
out every
tremendous.
joke meticulously, and the way
and flawlessly performed for like an hour and a half. And I said, wow, I mean, even though I wasn't a giant Seinfeld fan, that guy was a real pro. and had me laughing. And I walked out actually before Sandler was finished.
Wow, so you didn't see him do the Hanukkah song? Did he do the
He
Hanukkah
did a
song?
bunch of these stupid songs. He was on it. It was weird. I mean, the setup was great and the production was fantastic. So all of those values were there. And a couple of guys that performed before him were very funny. I don't know about Schneider, but they had Apatow was there. He was good. And a couple of other
Judd
comedians.
Apatow? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah,
So
A
I
couple
think
of other
it's Nick
comedians.
Swardson, Judd Apatow, and Rob Schneider are the people
Nice.
that have been performing.
All right. Well,
They were all good, leading up to Sandler, and he came out there, and
so it's like building up to
Like
doing a
fall.
belly
oh,
flop
and
off
I
of
thought,
the
wow, this is a really well produced, fast paced, good show. I like the fact that they had a couple of warm up guys, but they weren't up there until they went into dronage mode, and were fishing around for material. They all were quick and sharp, and it was really building up to a terrific, performance maybe by Springboard for Sandler to really knock it out of the park. And he had like 5 guitars lined up, like he was Joe Bonamassa or something.
Mhm.
And they're all sitting there, and I love music like you do. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy's going to either play these 5 guitars and do something really special, or they're going to bring a band out there. Maybe they all play the guitar. And then it became a guitar count in reverse. Like Mustangers and I were looking, going, "Oh, he's already played 2 of the guitars, so we have 3 left to go. You want to get out of here? 'Cause we'll never get to the end if he's going to play all of these. This thing is going on
Now,
forever." It was
let
so
me ask
dead lame.
you left early, and did
Yeah.
you just go straight to the parking garage and leave, or did you
Yes.
play more slots? Oh,
I
okay.
played the
Oh
fool.
no, I think Stan got wiped out. She never gave me a figure, and I didn't ask. Because
Those
really, this was
machines-
a desperate gambling mission by a sick, degenerate slot player in the Mustang. She hadn't been able to go to a casino for a while because she was working the last few weekends. So I've been using her free play. I hate to admit that over at a certain local casino, and I have to admit it's a wonderful way to go in and be introduced to a gambling environment. To have them hand you like $130, even if you have to churn it. But there was no such consideration here at the Hard Rock. We got whacked. I mean, the drinks are outrageously priced.
All right,
Food,
so
I didn't
now
even
we're
consider.
getting
Yeah.
into the lunchbox.
The
So here we are,
lunchbox
22
is,
minutes into the show. We've
20
talked about
minutes.
other
Well-
people's urine. We've talked about the pier that
This is what we
Defo
do.
is
One that
deemed was a
was-
complete fraud, that it
Oh
had
no,
nothing
that's
to
a
do with
joke.
the
man.
weather.
Nothing.
We've
to do with
talked
weather.
about the gambling proclivities and medical marijuana proclivities.
Ways to beat a drug test.
and and now here we are, finally at the topic I wanted to talk
And this is
about.
important for the restaurant people. They have to take drug tests, but do they actually consider the results?
Nowadays,
Because
I don't know.
with people struggling for help. I mean, I know a friend of
depends.
mine who owns a restaurant said, "I just find out how many more years are on parole." And if it's under a decade, if there's no statute of limitations or whatever on their
At
crimes,
this point,
they're hired, man.
most places are so desperate they're taking warm bodies. They don't even try to check if they're
Exactly.
still
Yeah.
breathing. as
They're
long
They're
as
actually
the body's
going to
warm.
probation offices and offering
Yay.
jobs.
Yeah, actually, there's some restaurant, the big corporate chains, the Dardens of the world, that probably, the ones that have human resources departments, they
Yeah.
probably do drug testing.
Yeah.
But then, the mom and pops are going to be willing to give people a chance.
I'm not in
and
favor of
as
drug
long
testing.
as long as you
Me either.
show up, and as long
Yeah.
as you kind of get,
your
the orders right, and are some way halfway proficient at what your duties are, they'll keep you aboard without making you pee in a
Yeah.
cup. All right,
It's-
so
It's a good
The
industry
expense.
for people needing second chances. It really is, the
it is.
restaurant
It's
industry.
great. Taste of recovery, what I did
Yeah.
last week. One of the wonderful things. All right. So, how many $5 seltzers did you order last night?
Well, you know what? We had a couple of drinks on the house there because Mustang had some compage somehow.
Do you have an
and,
X card, or what level
She has
are
a
you at?
card, yeah, whatever it is. She has a card at every casino. And so that was okay. I enjoyed those drinks immensely. I didn't have any others. Mustang did go to the bar inside the Hard Rock Live Theater,
Oof.
got 2 drinks and a popcorn. The popcorn was in a thimble, and that came to $54.
Oh my God. I'll
There
take
was
the
no hockey
$5
game,
seltzer.
no hockey game taking place after the Sandler show either.
I'll
This
take
was
the
to get bored to
$19 soup
tears.
and the $5
Oh
seltzer.
my guys, it was
Oh,
$20 per drink and $50
$54.
for-
That's what
Are
she
we
told me
keeping
she
you
got
up
whacked
there,
for.
Lubie? Are you okay? Are you?
No, I'm trying to do the math on that. So is that like so the drinks are $20? Because the drinks they give you
Those must have been doubles. That would be
18.
my only.
If you do
thought there.
doubles, forget it. You're
Drinks
dead.
though are about 18 a whack there, 17, 18.
sounds
I mean,
about
that's not
right.
uncommon
How do
at
you
any
get
of the
to
bars.
54? Oh,
So no,
Well,
and
the
that's
popcorn was 5 for like a thimble full of
I still don't
popcorn.
get how you got the 54.
Yeah.
that's at the
I'm
at
thinking
the
we're sorry we took your land at that point. I really,
Oh,
I had
Jesus.
nothing to do with it though. I mean, how about cutting me a little bit of slack on the
Europe.
drinks? Wow.
so the well,
The
the
casino
famous
isn't enough. I mean, what do you want from me?
Oh
Well, the
my God.
famous quote from the former chairman of the tribe, I think it was Max Osceola, when they announced that they were acquiring the global hard rock brand.
Yeah.
And he basically said, our forefathers sold Manhattan because they did the announcement in Times Square. Our forefathers sold Manhattan for $24 worth of trinkets. Now we're going to be taking it back one hamburger at a time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one
Exactly.
drink at a time. They're really they're making good on that promise. So
Um,
now, is
but
there a
let's
place you would go if you just let's say you didn't feel like getting whacked for $50 for two people for like a couple of cheeseburgers? Is there any the food court? Is
Food
that
court
a
is
viable
somewhat
option there,
affordable.
Mike Mayo? And what's your thought about that?
Food court is somewhat affordable.
You don't go to
food,
food courts, do you?
No,
I
he's
do.
not.
I mean,
You're the
the
gambling
food
gourmet.
the food court there has some that has some options. They have that food stand that's like the healthy one that has some salads and
It,
things
it
that
used to be
actually
reasonable though, as I recall, when I used to go to the Hard Rock, the food court wasn't half bad on the pricing. Now they want
no,
$15 for a pretzel. Come on, man.
it's they got to pay for that guitar somehow besides the slot machines. But what my biggest beef with the new food court, because it used to be on the other side
Yeah,
before they knocked everything down, and that old food court, the pizza place at the old food court was pretty good, and they used those Baker's Pride ovens, the ones that you see at most slice joints in New York City,
wasn't
and
bad.
they would have like a bunch of pies on
Yeah.
hold, and they'd shovel them in and heat them up when the big crowds came on a Friday night, and it was actually pretty decent. And now this new pizza place that they have at the food court is just absolutely, I don't know who designed it, because they have one of these wood fired ovens where it has like a opening like Wade has at the pizza spot. It's like 1 foot by 2 foot, which like works if you're an artisan doing like a couple of pies at a time. But when you have like 50 people that want to slice all at once, like it doesn't work. Like they can't get the slices in and out to heat them up. It's just like a complete cluster,
That
whatever.
pizza thing used to be very attractive, though. I mean, you would go
And
And
there,
now
now
and
it's
it's made
not.
to a
even if you
season. It
didn't
was
want a
super cheap.
pizza, you would think about buying
Now
a
Yeah,
couple
it's
of
it's
better.
slices.
it's
Yeah,
bad, soggy pizza, and it's expensive. I got like a Sicilian with pepperoni. It was like $7 and
you're
change or
complaining
something
about
like that.
For
prices.
one
You never do.
slice. Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
No, well, look, I was the one who complained about the $5 seltzer at the Hard Rock. So
that
that's
was
at the bowl. So
that was
that's
legitimate. I mean, it may as well have been. It might have been 50 last night. If you had gone there, you would
Yeah.
have really been outraged. So no, I mean,
no, but
there are no bargains there. Look, it is encouraging. You see a lot of people out there,
Most
and for all the
people.
people that are supposedly doing very badly, I don't know where this money comes from. I'm always amazed, when you go into certain casino settings and you see the people that are gambling their brains out, and the ones that are really sending it in are the ones that look least likely to be in that financial category. But a lot of people, I mean, they were having a great time last night, and wow, I mean, you can see why they were so easily able to expand over the years. Remember, how long ago was it that it was like literally a trailer that was selling like 3.95 cartons of cigarettes? But when you
Oh
went out
God.
on the ground zero, was that like
28 years
30
ago.
years ago,
Was
40
it
years ago?
It was
25,
40
30 years
years
ago?
ago. It was basically the late 70s when they defied the local authorities, and at the time, I think Sheriff Bob Butterworth, who became Attorney General of the state, but they had the bingo hall, the original bingo parlor, which is now called Seminole Classic.
Yeah.
But they were playing these bingo games for real money, and it wasn't like a church thing going towards charity. And the state came in and tried to shut it all down, and then the tribe ended up winning a huge federal court case, and it basically gave Indian tribes all across the land the right to declare sovereignty, and that they could derive income from these gambling entities, and overseen by the federal government. And that's why we have all these Indian casinos that we have across the United States today. Now,
I want to say this too. I have a very favorable view of the whole Seminole Hard Rock concept in the sense that, as I mentioned, when they first, sort of reconfigured the place and put that arena in there, the original Hard Rock Live, I was working with these guys very closely, and always was treated like a champ there. And they were doing these elaborate boxing productions, which of all the television I've done, I've never seen, such high end equipment, technically, the staff that they had, the crew that they had working, and we were top notch pros. And so a very favorable view. But still, I don't know that justifies $54 for 2 drinks and a popcorn.
I
I
don't
just
See,
don't.
now you sound like me, whining after my trip to the bowl
I
for
know
my
I'm going to get
Nice
whacked,
to
though.
see.
You go in there knowing you're going to get whacked. So I
Yeah,
mean that's the
54.
difference.
Now the key is what is worth the money and what is just a ripoff. So going to the
You like the
concession stand,
Council Oaks, though.
I
You would
love.
say
Okay,
that's worth the money.
let me give you my top dining deals and
Okay,
destinations at the
yeah,
Hard
because
Rock. Since
somebody
this,
asked me where to go for the best steak, and I keep thinking it was like Council Bluffs, Iowa, but I
Council
told them to
Bluffs,
go to the
Council
Council
Oak,
Council
Oaks.
Oak. Council
Council
Oak.
Oak.
Council
Yeah.
Oak, and
So
I figured I didn't steer this guy, no pun intended, wrong by sending him there to get a steak.
that's right. So Council Oak is their high-end steakhouse, and they do a really good job on everything. Sometimes I go in before a poker tournament and go to the bar when it first opens at 5 o'clock, get a little appetizer and a cocktail. And even though I'm paying big money, I'm happy. It makes me feel like $1,000,000 after eating there because it's high quality food. You get a shrimp cocktail or one of these seafood, appetizers, and the steaks. They're high end, and of course, obviously, everything costs an arm and a leg now these days. But they're using good quality meat. And usually the prime USDA prime meat, and as long as they don't overcook it. That's the one problem that I found that they have at Council Oak, because they have what's called, not to get all foodie on you here, Defo, but
Well, we don't mind.
it's called
This is
I
what you
love
do.
that. When you get
Yeah,
specific about the weather, it's a little
yeah.
weird. When you get specific about food,
I,
we
I
actually
was
enjoy it.
And what you
I
know
was
about pier architecture, obviously,
When you're
is
pointing to the map
minimal.
and you're
well,
like,
don't
well,
don't
when you look at
don't get me
longitude and
sidetracked,
latitude,
because I was an Eagle Scout and I had meteorology merit badge and architecture merit badge, so that's where my
barometric
expertise.
pressure at 2:30 p.m.
Yeah.
No, I'm okay.
So at Council Up Oak, sometimes the steaks and chops come out a little bit overdone because they have one of these things called a Josper oven, or Josper, or Josper. It's kind of
Okay.
a Spanish wood burning oven that it goes at very high heat, like almost
Quicker.
800 degrees. And what they
Shouldn't they
do
know how
is,
to work it though, so that the
The
steaks come
problem
out
is you
right?
probably
you
get
you would
lost in other
think
stuff.
at like $85 a steak, they would know how to work it. Now, when
That's
it
where it
first
really gets
opened,
dicey. Yeah, when you're talking
and the
about
way
high
they
end.
have their technique, they have these open flame grills where they do the initial grilling, and then they like put the steaks off on the side and let them rest, and then they put them in the Josper at the very end, and then sometimes it just gets dried out and
Yep.
overcooked. I always tend to order my steaks at Council Oak, one under. So, like,
Okay.
Yeah.
typically, if I want to have medium
Rare.
rare, I would order it rare. If I
What if it
want it
comes out that
medium,
way, like the way you ordered it,
You say
which is
screw
you
it.
what you're
send it
expecting?
back.
Then you
Then
send it
Send it
back.
send it
back.
back
Yeah,
for
well
more
done.
fire.
And
Nice.
it's the old rule of thumb about steaks is it's a lot easier to have it cooked a little more than
Sure.
to throw it out and have to start all over
Yeah.
again. So, if you're gonna go anywhere,
In neither circumstance is
I would just
desirable
take
less.
it. I'd rather it be rare than well done. So if they did it rare, I would just eat the thing.
Let me give you a
Yes.
choice here. I'm sure you've eaten at both, because a lot of people love New York steak or whatever that is at
DIY
that's
the
in
steak.
Coconut
Coconut Creek
Creek.
Casino.
Yeah.
That's good.
How would you compare the two
I
steakhouses?
I actually prefer at this point, for overall menu and execution and design and atmosphere, Council Oak, in a runaway.
Okay.
But New York steak, NYY steak has its fans. I'm just a Mets fan, so it just goes against my nature to like a steakhouse that's named after the New York Yankees. It's
Well, I
branded
mean
with
that
the
that
Yankees.
aside, I mean this silliness that you would naturally form a bias about. I mean, many people I see just rave about that place. I've
Even
eaten
for
at
the
both.
It's good. It's
It's
good,
been a while
but
since
I,
I've been
I
at
prefer
Council Oak.
Council Oak. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a long
All right.
time. I
Now,
used to
now let me
jump.
quickly. Oh wait, we're already at 33 mark. So let's
Yeah.
talk about my other favorite steakhouse, which I might be
Yes.
hitting tonight, for a
Oh yeah.
little happy hour at
Happy
the
hour's so great.
Tropical Acres Steakhouse, and there you won't be spending nearly
Ah,
as much as you would down the block.
And you don't
And
feel like a stranger when you walk in there. That's the other good thing. Even if you're a
and
first time starter there, they make you feel right at home. It's great.
yeah, so it's 2500 Griffin Road in Fort Lauderdale, actually Dania Beach now. It used to be Fort Lauderdale. It's just east of I'm sorry, just west of 95 and the Fort Lauderdale Airport. Tropical Acres has been around, a local institution, since 1949. That's older than Defo. It means they're doing something right. And what they do right is steaks, chops, seafood, and more. What they really get right is the hospitality. The Studiali family, it's Jack Studiali, and now his sons Joe and Jackson are running the place. They will greet you with a smile every night, and the dining room opens at 4:30 with the early bird for the first hour. You get all kinds of extra goodies. Better yet, go into the bar for the cocktails. The happy hour in the bar, 4:30 to 6:30. You'll find me there tonight, probably about 5 o'clock, having one of those unbelievably priced $7 Belvedere martinis, $7.50 with tax, but half price on all brands, including the premium liquor. And they have all these great light bites in the bar.
The sliders are great.
Sliders,
And they actually cook it
coconut
to
shrimp.
order, which is rare for a slider.
Yeah, I think they even do the escargot on the happy
They
hour.
do escargot.
Yeah,
It's a really nice happy hour.
No, we
It's
had it there. You had something last time I met you.
Both.
Beautiful thing. We love Tropical Acres, and then also they still have the twin lobster special going, $35 for twin steamed whole Maine live lobsters, about £1.25 each, served with a side and a salad. You can't beat the value at Tropical Acres. Go in there, and don't forget they have the butcher shop that's open every day but Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. to pick up all the delicious steaks and more that you could enjoy at home. Tropical Acres open every day but Sunday. Tell them that the Lunchbox sent you.
It's a very good vibe in there. It really is.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, the people, especially, if you have like a mix of regulars and first time starters in there, you can tell that the people know that they're going to be satisfied with their dinner, and the treatment is fantastic. And what's the name of that singer? The guy that's there on the piano, is he there every night? The guy that you knew. You were big friends with him. You duped him a 50 or something too. Very generous.
Me? Are you hallucinating?
No, but you knew the guy. I know you didn't duke him a 50.
I mean, I like him. I don't know his name. He's got beautiful hair.
Great, yeah. No, the hair is classic. Yeah, that's throwback hair that guy has.
I'm going to call him Gene. For the sake of the show, we'll just call him Gene, the piano player.
He creates a great atmosphere there. It really is. I love going into Tropical Acres. You always feel good as soon as you walk in the door. It's fantastic.
It is. All right, we'll be back more on the Lunchbox. We'll be back with more Lunchbox after these words. People come to me and say, Mike, where should I go out to eat? I got guests coming from out of town. Where should we go? Cafe Seville. That's the answer. 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. It's a Fort Lauderdale perennial, serving the finest in Spanish and continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly, comfortable setting. Joey Esposito and Sally, his better half, they've been running the place for a long time. It's been open since the 1980s. They got great Spanish classics like paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, and all kinds of great seafood dishes. The stuffed veal chop, that's my favorite. Go to Cafe Seville. It's open every day but Sunday at 5 p.m. for dinner. Tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent you. Do you like burgers? Do you like wings? Do you like late night food and sports on big screen TVs and cold beer and friendly vibe and great people? Then you want to check out Shenanigans. For 30 years, they've been doing a great job. The original location, West Side, 3303 Sheridan Street, just across from TY Park in Hollywood. Then there's the East Side location, 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. You go to Shenanigans, you get yourself all the good stuff, the fresh fish every day, the blackened grilled wings, and of course, the kitchens are open late in both locations. Go there, tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent. You like pizza? Who doesn't like pizza? Well, my spot for pizza is the Pizza Spot. It's in that little bit hard to find Riverside Park neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale, but it's totally easy to love. It's at 601 Southwest 12th Avenue, New Haven style, a pizza from Wade and Reese. It's a lovely outdoor spot. You could also pick up pies to go at 754-779-7788, 754-779-7788. Again, they're open every day but Monday for lunch and dinner. Some of the best pizza I've ever had. Go to Pizza Spot. They also have subs, salads, and more. Tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you. If you like seafood in a comfortable setting, outdoors, even keel fish shack at the corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard in Lauderdale by the Sea, that's my spot. It's upscale food in a down-home setting. The chef owners, Dave and Brad, do a terrific job with all the seafood classics that you want. They have the best grilled oysters in town, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, and deli fish specials. They also have weekend brunch Saturday and Sunday. They have deli happy hour 4 to 7, and they also have other weekly specials like mussels on Monday and oysters on Tuesday. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack and tell them that the Lunchbox sent you. All right, we're back on the lunchbox, and I want to wrap up this discussion about hard rock eating because I think it's a worthy topic. We get a lot of questions and queries about this from people who are going to concerts and stuff at the Hard Rock on the Let's Eat South Florida Facebook group, 92,000 strong. And so, besides Council Oak, which I recommend, but bring cash or win something big at one of the machines because it is expensive, but I find it worth it. Some of the other things I like at the Hard Rock include the Sunday brunch, which is now held at Kuro, the Japanese restaurant. And I went there a couple of times this year, including bringing baby mama Michelle. I'm sorry, my mother of my daughter, Michelle, for Mother's Day.
Yes.
The Sunday brunch, $110 plus tax and tip. So we're talking about $145 per person, but it is worth every penny for people who like quality food. And let me tell you why, because it has an incredible array of like really high quality proteins, things like Alaska King crab legs, two types of premium oysters from the East Coast and West Coast, all kinds of sushi. They have the full schmear in terms of like bagels with smoked salmon, and they have antipasta, all kinds of great, the prosciuttos and things, the Italian cold cuts, and then they have like a beef, meat section, including rack of lamb. They have beef Wellington with like high quality USDA prime tenderloin of beef. They have like some of the other things. I think prime rib. Like also the prime rib. You go in there, you don't have to fill up on like schlock things like waffles they do have that. They have the pasta bar, but don't do that. Don't fill up on these silly carbs. You can go in there and like just by the crab legs and oysters and sushi alone, eat $110 worth of what you'd find in any other restaurant.
Wow.
Plus you get there's unlimited, not just Bloody Marys and mimosas, but let's say you get sick of drinking a Bloody Mary, which as much as I like my Bloody Marys, even during the week, Defo, after one or two, I don't want to drink any more Bloody
Two
Marys.
is like enough with the Bloody Marys.
Actually, for me, it's just one. What I had there is one mimosa, one Bloody Mary, and then I said, can I just get like vodka soda? Oh, of course. They'll bring you like a Tito's and club soda all day long.
Nice consideration.
So these are like drinks that usually cost, $15 to $20 at any of the other restaurants. So if you have like 3 or 4 drinks and some of those crab legs, you got your money's worth. And
the story is legendary of when Lubie got kicked out of the buffet at
I did not
Palms.
I did not.
And we were on a comp.
I just took advantage of the situation.
Our good friend Mike Nyman, and he literally came away with the crab legs, which they were offering very generously so. And you would have thought that he just pulled a trap up on Deadliest Catch. One of those ones where the guys start high-fiving each other and doing a little dance while they're in the middle of the Bering Sea. With you talk about now if that had collapsed the pier, those conditions, I would have said, all right, maybe it didn't happen yesterday, but he literally had a pyramid of crab legs.
They were good.
They were scraping the ceiling, and he was underneath it, like carrying it on a tray as if he was bussing the table. It was fantastic. But I don't know. Do you feel like, hey, I've got to keep eating because I didn't get my money's worth yet?
No.
How do you feel in these situations where you're at a very, pricey sort of all-you-can-eat situation?
Some people do overstuff. For me, it's a normal day at the office.
You wrap some stuff up in a napkin and take it home?
No, that's not allowed. That's
good. You don't do any of that?
And I forgot to mention, my other favorite part is like I just get some scrambled eggs because they do have an omelet bar. But then one of the things that you could order from the servers, and the one thing they don't have out and about, but if you ask for, they have caviar service. So they'll bring you this beautiful little tray and with a little jar of American black caviar, but it's a really good product with the proper service where you have the chopped up egg and the onion and the capers, and the little blinis or the little Melba toast. But what I like to do is just dump all the caviar on top of scrambled eggs with a little creme fraiche and a little bit of the chives, and that makes you feel like $1 million. You have that, and
so the equivalent of how many meals do you ingest when you're?
That's my thing. Is some of these you have to.
You're getting all of that seafood, the oysters and clams and everything, and then you're eating the crab legs, and then you're going to the meat section. But you start out with an omelet.
No. Here, let me tell you how I did it. And even
how do you go about it? All
My
right.
server, even when he saw the way my methodology, he goes, "That's professional." It
You would
was
expect no less from the gambling
You
yeah.
are a
gourmet.
professional.
My first foray, it was basically I did it in 4 stages. I did going to the raw bar with the crab legs and the oysters and the shrimp and a little bit of
Right.
sushi. So that
All
was
right.
like the seafood opening. Then I got the omelet with the caviar. Then
That's
I
what's
went to the meats and the meat bar.
Wow.
okay.
And then I went for dessert and coffee. And that's like
And when
4
did they strap
stages.
you into the chair? It's the kind of
Old
way
Sparky.
you would eat at Stark. I mean,
Exactly.
Stark, they limit you to $40 for your last meal. Here runs a buck 10. So,
a
all right.
couple of drinks
So
right before also.
I've
All right.
gone on singing the praises. It's only on Sundays. It's at
All right.
Kuro, the
Buck 10.
Japanese restaurant. You got it goes from 10
Ten's a
till
lot.
3, I think, and they limit you to 2 hours, but they don't really hold it to you. Like,
They
as long as you're
they have
That's
no
the
reasonable
old
about
joke
things.
about the Chinese buffet. You must go because you've been here too long.
No,
Right.
but they never make you feel rushed or unwelcome. I thought the service was really good. So I
Now, do you
heartily recommend
change
it.
plates when you're at one of these
Yes.
spots?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
No, and
You
that's
don't
what
drag the same old plate up there and
that's
come
what
back for
makes the
another one.
service good because they're
Yeah.
actually coming by and
All
taking
right.
away your dirty plates, and you go up
yeah.
and you get fresh ones for each course. So again, I recommend that. Now, quickly, some of the other places at Hard Rock that I like. The BAE is the Korean barbecue place that
Okay.
opened up that I've never eaten there, but I have friends I trust who have, and they say it's really good. And it has some of those, grill yourself, barbecue,
Little thing to make your own
built into the table, so you could grill
yeah.
your own
Oh,
meats.
get out of here.
Yeah.
I
So
hate
that's Bay,
Does that not
BAE.
present a danger of some sort?
I
For the
hate
guy
it.
that's unaware of that?
Not dangerous, it's just annoying.
All right.
Well, again, and they give you an option there because they have some tables that have the built-in
I don't
grills
wanna
and
cook
some tables that don't, and you could just order your main course directly from the kitchen, and they'll do all the cooking
I'm
for
usually
you.
expecting if I go to the restaurant, they're going to cook the
I don't
food.
wanna cook.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. You can be like that. Some people like the adventure
My
of the
wife.
do-it-yourself Korean barbecue,
I,
but that place.
I'll go set up a hibachi on the beach then and throw a
Exactly. I'm
piece of
gonna
meat
cook
on
this, I'm
there
gonna
and
stay
try to
here.
get the charcoal lit.
So
Yeah.
even though I haven't been, I would recommend it because people I know and trust say it's good. And I've walked through the place and I've just looked around and it looks really good. The menu's good. Bowl used to be one of my favorites. And actually for certain
Tell the
dishes there.
seltzer incident? Is
That's the
that what
Yeah,
you
seltzer.
meant?
well,
Yeah.
now you know what the some of the Chinese dishes. If you get like the shrimp with the vegetables and the nice big plump jumbo shrimp, I like the bowl. So there's good. Oh, and I forgot to mention kind of the most innovative place, and it's certainly the prettiest place because it's set out by the pool area on the second floor with all these picture windows overlooking the pool and the Guitar Hotel, so you could see the light show. But it's called Abiaka, which is a Seminole word meaning something, but it's it's a
Peace,
kind of
my friend. Peace and
yes,
wisdom.
yeah, it's
I
a
mean,
high-end kind of innovative small plates thing. They have some really good fish dishes and seafood dishes. They also have some grilled meat dishes, but it's a little bit frou-frou, and it's a little bit more for people who like more refined cooking. One of those places where you can go and spend a lot of money and still leave hungry if you don't order correctly. But I like it. I think they do really good things. So the Hard Rock, it's a good place for people with money. I mean, it's all expensive, but there are some things that are in my mind really exciting and good quality in terms of overall dining experience. Makes me happy.
well, and all that notwithstanding, I mean, it is a spectacular place. I mean, what they've
Oh,
done
yeah,
there
it's great, it's a blast.
beyond amazing. I mean,
Done a great
you
job.
go to various casinos and other casino destinations like Las Vegas. I mean, it's right up there with the Bellagio or any of the new stuff. And fantastic the memorabilia that's
Yeah.
encased and hung on the walls there. I mean, it's a literal museum
Yep.
Yeah,
for
no,
music
it's
fans. It's
and it's
fantastic in that
great
regard.
people watching. I mean, you
That's what
just
people
go
are
in
The
doing
there
drift is
for.
fantastic, also.
Yeah.
on a
Yes.
Friday night, and they have these like music light shows by that waterfall area. They call it the Oculus, which is like the entrance area before you go into the new Guitar Hotel
Yeah.
lobby. But they just have all these light shows. There's all kinds of action. They got this new sports bar where they got blackjack tables in the sports bar. They don't have it as sports betting now, but maybe
They need to have blackjack tables in the pool, and that's when they've made it.
yeah,
When you
that's
could
it.
just sit at a table while you're in the pool and lose your money while you're in a bathing suit. I always like
Hey,
that aspect.
it's time to talk about our friends at Visit Lauderdale.
Yes.
We're going to be doing some stuff with Necky. I think next week we're trying to figure out.
Where is Ms. Mohan?
Oh, she's
all
around.
over.
She's
She
all over
needs
the
to get
Out of the
place.
back on the
state
show.
again.
This woman,
She's out of the state
she
again.
really does.
No,
She's been
I think
traveling a
she's
lot.
going to some conference. I think in Arizona next
Yeah,
week.
she was traveling this week. She's been all over the
So,
place.
but we're gonna get together with her, I believe, a week from tomorrow, next Friday. We're gonna go check out a place. But Visit Lauderdale, Greater Fort Lauderdale, wants to welcome everyone under the sun, and that means all you foodies out there, the culinary explorers, cocktail connoisseurs, craft beer aficionados. Come one, come all, and check out all the great places and all the great flavors that Fort Lauderdale has to offer. From dockside dining with breathtaking views over the water and lively cafes along Las Olas Boulevard to award-winning chefs serving up every cuisine imaginable, a world-class culinary scene awaits. So come stay and play in Greater Fort Lauderdale and discover taste sensations at home in more than 4,000 area restaurants. Explore also the thrilling nightlife scene, like at the Hard Rock, and
Yes.
also in other pockets like Hermarshi and Las Olas
Yep.
and Oakland Park. Of course, got the great Funky Buddha Brewery.
Yeah.
All these other great craft breweries you could visit along the Lauderdale Ale Trail.
Yes.
And there's rooftop bars and expert mixologists serving up cocktails all over the place. It's a never-ending culinary celebration in Greater Fort Lauderdale, and everyone's invited. So for more information about upcoming events and specials, go to visitlauderdale.com.
We really are very fortunate here. I would have to say our dining scene is comparable with any
Oh yeah.
any city anywhere in America, and
100%.
I don't know if you want to say the world, but
it's
I mean it really
It's
is
all over the
amazing
place.
the options and the different quality places that we have of
Yeah,
all
and
types.
and it's not just obviously Greater Fort Lauderdale and Broward, but you go up and down the coast. I mean, we are just
Great
really
place for
truly
dining.
blessed.
Yeah.
Truly blessed. Okay,
mean-
we'll be back after these words to wrap up this edition of the Lunchbox. Looking for a great place for steaks, seafood, and more? Go to Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of I-95 and the airport. They've been there a long time, since 1949. That means they're doing something right. You'll get old school hospitality from the Studiali family, along with great value, tremendous service. Of course, you could also go into the bar for happy hour every day, 4 to 6. The early bird special runs from 4:30 to 5:30, and they have great value all night long. Also, a butcher shop that's open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. except Sunday. The dining room is open every day at 4:30 except Sunday. Go to Tropical Acres. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. Hey, it's Mike Mayo. When the Brooklyn boy in me wants a good bagel with Nova or some matzo ball soup, homemade knishes, or a great deli pastrami sandwich on rye, you know where I go? Grandpa's Cafe in Dania Beach. It's been around a long time, an institution, but a little over a year ago, a pair of New Yorkers came in, bought it, and refurbished the place. It's beautiful, and they are now serving great breakfast, brunch, lunch. They've got the omelets, they've got eggs Benedict, they've got all kinds of great baked goods like rugelach. Grandpa's is just off Federal Highway on Southwest 1st Street in Dania Beach. It's open 7 days. Go in there, tell them that the Lunchbox sent you. When I'm looking for some wicked good food for a wicked good lunch, there's only one place to go. That's Wicked Cheesesteaks in Fort Lauderdale. It's at 4824 North Federal Highway, just south of Commercial Boulevard and across from Holy Cross Hospital. My friend Brian there, he will hook you up with some really tasty treats. They've got cheesesteaks just like the best you can find in Philly, along with lobster rolls, because that's where he's from, Maine originally. And they have wings and pizza and everything you want to have a really good time. Wicked Cheesesteaks, they're open every day but Tuesday. Go in there on a Wednesday. They got buy one, get one on cheesesteaks from 5 to 8 p.m. Check them out online, wickedcheesesteaks.com. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. And we're back on the lunchbox. It is Thursday already. How did that happen? We got through the storms of the week, the elections. We know all the results in Florida, at least, whatever, if you're celebrating or not. And then we made it through Nicole, and hardly a brush, except if you're the Anglin's peer. But that wasn't
Demolished by the
that wasn't
tremendous
storm.
weather.
Demolished by the
force.
half-foot waves that were
That wasn't, according to Defo, the
putting this thing on
engineer.
the threshold of collapse.
Amazing. Storm related. Hey, guys, I wanted to just bring up something. I don't know if you saw a post on Let's Eat today. A woman is going for the first time to Cafe Seville tonight for her
Nice.
50th
wow.
birthday. She
Nice.
said she was influenced in part by some of my posts and some of some of my kind words about Joey and Cafe Seville up on Oakland Park Boulevard. And she was saying, what should she get as a first timer there? And what would you say, Defo? What's
My go-to dish there is merluza Santa Fe. I love that Santa Fe red sauce that they do. You could pretty much put it on any fish that they have available that night. Their merluza is a very light, flaky white fish that is absolutely delicious, melts in your mouth, and they do it great. That would be my go-to thing. I know you
Yeah.
like you're into some of the meat dishes
You
there.
make the stuffed pork chop look ridiculous.
Well,
Things
the
that we
stuffed
have
veal
in the
chop
past.
is crazy
Yes,
good. The
veal
stuffed
chop.
pork chop is similar, just with
Yeah.
pork instead of veal. It's a little bit more reasonable.
I like
And
all of
then,
their seafood. I mean, I think it's fantastic. Everything they put out.
my go-tos there, Defo. I got to start with the shrimp, the gambas
That
al
shrimp looks
ajijo,
great.
the
That's
shrimp
a
and
must.
garlic.
That
Yes,
shrimp looks
absolutely.
You get
amazing.
that crusty sourdough bread, and you dunk it
Perfect.
in there, and then don't kiss anybody for a while unless you really know them well. Or
Well,
been
unless
married
they're
a
having
long
some
time.
also, I guess that balances it out.
It does. And then I love the paella is great. I love the stuffed veal chop. But those fish dishes, like I said, I
Oh,
told
fantastic.
the woman, like, whatever you get on the board there, the swordfish with the sometimes they have just simple swordfish grilled with the olive oil and garlic. They had the last time I was there, my buddy got that the branzino francese with a little bit of lump
Ooh, that
crab
sounds
meat on
nice.
top. It was so good. And then I had the grouper Costa Bravo, which was excellent. So you can't go wrong. There's really no wrong answers. I hope she enjoys herself. I'm sure Joey and Sally are going to take great care of her. And maybe for the 50th birthday, he'll bring out a little bit of the tres leches cake for with a
Nice.
candle in it, because that is one of the best too. Hey, don't play that music yet,
That's it?
Lubie, because I got to talk a little bit more about not just the Visit Lauderdale Wine and Food Festival. We got to tell everybody about VLFoodWine.com is the place to go for tickets for the upcoming food fest, which is just going to be great. It's coming up in January after the holidays, and these tickets reasonably priced. And you can go to things like they're having a bar fight cocktail competition on Wednesday, January 11th. They have the poolside barbecue battle on Friday, January 13th. They have the grand tasting at Los Olas Oceanside Park
And what are we
on
going to?
Saturday,
You
January
guys listened to
14th.
this last year. I was not
Yes.
at this.
All
So
right. Well,
I want to be involved this time. What
you
are we
get to
missed
doing?
go
out, Louis.
anywhere and anywhere. I'm going to be judging 3 events: the cocktail
I want to be there.
competition, the
Sounds
poolside
fun.
barbecue battle, and the grand tasting. And you know what? Those 3 events, if you go online, vlfoodwine.com, and click on buy tickets and use promo code Lunchbox, you're going to save 15%. That's
Nice.
15% off the already reasonable prices.
Nice.
So go online now, vlfoodwine.com. And they just announced the lineup of their intimate dinners. You could check it all out. There's going to be some great things. And also, they're going to have some great, food celebrities on hand doing some judging and cooking demonstrations. I was talking to Phil the other day. Nancy Fuller, who now is a star of a Food Network show called Fuller Farmer. She's going to be there. She has a huge social media
Nice.
following, and along with Jason Smith, who I think he won the last season of the Next Food Network Star. He's going to be doing a cooking demonstration. He'll be doing some judging. Yeah, come on out. It's going to be a great time, and looking forward to being part of it. And we're going to be having some of the participants and some of these celebrities going to be taking part on the Lunchbox in upcoming
Hey.
weeks leading up to the festival. We'll have them on, and we'll have a good time. We'll be taking the show on the road too. So
Well staged, very professionally run events. They really do a nice job.
Yeah, it's
You,
all
you know
good.
my theory. I was not a big fan of food festivals, but that barbecue bash that we went to, that
Yep,
was terrific.
it's gonna
And
be
Luby, you have to go because you have to see how Mayo actually, goes about judging our
The idea of
judges.
Mayo judging has got to be the greatest thing ever.
Oh my goodness, it's hilarious to watch.
should
It
just
really is.
follow me with a camera and
Yeah.
just make it a
Honestly,
reality
you do
show.
that. That's what I'm gonna do.
And wear a bib because it could get a little ugly. But all right, we know that Luby's got to get out of here. I guess his captors are going to release him at 1 o'clock, which is
Yes,
very
thank you.
exciting.
I
And
hope he didn't give either of us up. I mean, whatever we're guilty of there. Come on, Luby.
yeah,
It was minimal what I did. It was minimal.
okay,
You'll
good.
They
be
used to
okay.
sit him down in the program director or the general manager's office whenever there was a question about our show and go, "It was Defoe's idea." He would say that, blurt that
Never
out before they
said.
even ask him his name. It was
I've
amazing.
never done
Before they had a
Uh,
chance to say, "Have a seat, Mister Lubitz,"
that. I'm funny.
he was
all
already
right.
giving me up. It was crazy.
Well, we'll see where where Luby ends up tomorrow. And but thank you for this time. Until next time.
He really
Tomorrow we'll
does
be
look
around.
like some of those shots. We sadly we're getting a Brittany Griner. I mean, the only thing missing is are the bars in front of him.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
All right, tomorrow's Veterans Day, and we'll have a
Happy
special
Veterans
salute
Day,
to
one and all.
veterans tomorrow. Thanks for everybody who served. For Jeff Defo DeForest, for Mike Luby Lubitz, I'm Mike Mayo saying thanks for tuning in, and remember to enjoy every sandwich.